wasn't aware that the application format had changed, but you have got a new application now, which is much better, thank you. And it, like the, like the previous applications, the first part of it states that this application will not be accepted until all of the following information has been provided to the zoning administrator. Please check the individual materials that have been submitted. Failure to provide this information may cause a delay in your application. Taken up by the planning commission, but I think we also retain that option. So for the Rislings, I don't know if anybody else looked through all the information, but they did their job, and all the boxes were checked.
I got just one question.
Yes.
You said, I think you said that was agricultural. But it says here residential, and that's crossed out, and then it says conservation, and then I think I heard agriculture, and I was just wondering if you could make that.
That, the zoning administrator may be able to clarify that.
That money is conservation.
Yeah, it is
They're up in
conservation.
Boston,
Yeah.
so is it conservation?
It is conservation.
Okay, but
Yeah,
the
that's
use
the
is
last
not-
note in here, so
Yeah.
we'll just go with that.
Okay, so, based on the documentation being in order, are we ready to schedule a public hearing?
And I would think that the applicant would be here for that.
Because I advised them that it was a, sort of a formality that we need to go through to ascertain whether the documentation is correct. So they really didn't need to be here, I told them. So I will entertain a motion to move this on to be scheduled for a public hearing in May.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded, all in favor? Aye, okay, so the Rissing is scheduled for the public hearing. The next item is the,
And that would be the next, our next meeting, do we?
yes, that will be our next one. The next subject is the preliminary review for SUP 22-2-4, Chesterfield Baptist Church, tax map 1-87D, place of worship and activity field. And the Chester Gap Baptist Church is proposing to hold outdoor activities for the church on a lot the church purchased many years ago. The church itself is located at 41 Waterfall Road, and this lot is located on Headwaters Road. It is proposed to hold functions such as picnics, youth activities, Easter services, vacation Bible school, etc. on this property due to the limited outside space at the church itself. A 200 by 200 foot level pad has been graded off for such activities. This property is identified by tax map 1-87D. It's 24.33 acres in size and is zoned residential village. The lot is currently wooded, vacant, and no structures are being proposed at this time. It's pursuant, the application is pursuant to 170-36D and subject to additional regulations in 170-63A. And this application went to a public hearing at the Planning Commission on April 20th, and is recommended for approval.
With conditions.
With conditions, yes,
With many conditions.
with many conditions. Now, does anybody have any questions on the application?
I do.
As far as the application goes,
Oh,
not
sorry.
necessarily discussing the merits of it, but just whether the paperwork is in order.
Well, but that's actually what I was gonna address.
Excellent.
Okay, there's a piece of paperwork that I think is relevant that was not part
Okay.
of our deal.
I've got more than one, actually.
Okay.
Which one are you looking for?
I'm talking about the one that was part of the whole process since the started, what, in 08 or so?
Right.
But there's something from the Soil and Water Conservation District, is that part of your packet?
Yeah, that is part of the packet now.
Yeah, very good.
Okay.
You know, so when they applied for that property, that was a different place, right? The church was in.
The old permit in '08 was for the same piece of property.
Right.
Yeah, but different place, right?
It was a different location on that parcel. Everything from the soil and the conservation back then, it's moot now, because it never happened.
Right,
Everything now is going through the same process again,
right, it's,
and that's not part of this application package.
right. It's history, but it's history.
You mean the soil and water?
They're currently reviewing their plan, their ENS plans and everything else, so that entity is doing what it's supposed to do.
Well, I actually have a question that's relevant to that. I don't know if this is the appropriate time to ask, it, but,
Well, ask the question and we'll tell you.
Okay.
Somebody will.
Because
It is-
basically, we want answers prior to the public hearing.
right, okay, so, they reference where is it? They reference, I've not got it right here, but, a retention pond and a filtration system, was that ever done?
No, nothing was ever done,
No,
because, and you have to bear in mind it too, those comments were made on a completely separate application that had a separate plan, separate location.
It was a separate location.
Yes,
Yes.
it was not the same location on this parcel.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was
Yes. I sent that file to you all.
yeah.
yeah, just for informational purposes, I guess.
I mean, they've been approved once for a church.
Right, a big church too. right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And now they're asking for outdoor recreation.
Okay, what I'm looking at is basically going back to the, requirements of the application, which I just read for the previous one, is that if all the information is not present, we can't move forward. And so I look at the application, and it gets down to current zoning. And this is supposed to be filled out by the applicant, there are lines there, and it's what, you know, it completes the application. That line is blank, the parcel is blank. Basically, the way this permit reads, it's for the entire tax map of 187-D, because they.
Well, it is. It is, that's how you assign it. It's for the entire tax map.
Yeah.
They've showed you on a plat the location that they're speaking of.
Okay, now,
Special use permits are assigned to a tax map number.
oh, yes, they are assigned to the tax map number, but then there's normally a parcel number
That is on here.
But
It's on there.
I have no parcel number on the application I have.
One, if you see tax map, they just filled it in all in one slot. 187D.
Okay, they have it on the wrong one. Okay,
No, it says tax map 187D.
yes, but it's got parcel, normally parcel, there's a tax map, and then there's a parcel. And so there's nothing, you know, if there's five parcel line there,
This is
that's
ridiculous.
what I'm saying. Then there's no indication under what he's zoning. And my feeling is on applications is, if there's a line there,
Some people don't know that information, and then I provide it to you all. This already went through the planning commission through a public hearing. They determined they had all the information they needed.
I know, but that doesn't mean that we have all the
What
information
is
that
this
we
one?
need. That's what I'm saying, why?
I've provided that.
And,
Did anybody look at my staff report? It's been provided.
okay. In the future, I would prefer that these things, because quite honestly, the Rislings did everything. Every box.
I try to hold everybody's hand feelings out, and I can't do it,
Okay, so let's go past
it's
there.
not nitpick.
Now, we get down to the bottom of that sheet where there's the list of names and addresses of owners or occupants of all adjacent property. There's a lot of adjacent properties around there.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be filled out. I mean, if it says over here, the paperwork is supposed to every time. And I have a particular question on this property, because this property is right on the county line.
Yeah, so for the planning commission public hearing, there were, I believe, 22 adjoining property owners notified, because that's my job to verify and notify each single one of them. And Warren County was also notified pursuant to Virginia code, just FYI.
Okay, and I appreciate you doing that, but you need to let us, know, why is this, why is this?
Because I'm not gonna fill it in for them.
You have that information.
What?
I say.
No, we don't, that's what I said, I,
So the information exists within the.
It's in,
No, I-
within the file. It exists within the file. I have to you to ask for a copy.
okay? And this is a new form, that's why I'm looking at, like I said, I'm a person that looks at forms, and when I see blanks, I question, why things are left blank. The next thing is that, there are no photographs of the property. I would be curious as to what this, I know they've done some work up there on the property, which was done without a permit and leveled out a certain area or whatever, but it says here that there are supposed to be, there needs to be photographs of the property, and there aren't any. So that's not there.
Picture of woods?
They have a site, they have a full plan attached to it.
They don't have any photographs.
Most people go and visit the site.
It says here, why does it say this on the application if they're not required to put it in? It says, and everybody else does it. That's what I said, the Rislings have everything in there, they have the photographs.
I'll make sure that they get some pictures of vacant land.
That would be fine, it's not vacant,
It's
there's
vacant.
been work done up there.
It's vacant. It has no structure on it.
That's correct. They did level out the land, that's how this whole thing started.
Oh, I'm very aware of that.
Yes, yes.
That's why it's here.
And we need to be able to, we need to be able to look at that and see what work they've done. So that's a photograph, and it's not asking for all that much.
You're here to determine if the use is appropriate for the property.
No, there's all these things listed on here, there's no copy of the deed. All the applications that we've had lately, there's always a copy of the deed. The two we just, dealt with, there were copies of the deed. Rissling, there's a copy of the deed. This one, there's no copy of the deed. Why do they get a buy? And it's not asking that much. If everybody has to do the same thing. I don't know if everybody else feels that way, but I just look at it and go, it says it's supposed to be here and it's not here. Then, why? There's also supposed to be a copy of the property card for the property from the Commissioner of Revenue. And that, Rissling, if you look at theirs, they did it, it's there. There's no VDOT approval.
Yes, there is.
Where?
Yes, there is. It's in the documents.
So because I looked today, and what I saw was it was pending.
No.
Pulling up.
I imagine that
I looked,
VDOT has to approve the previous mega church plan.
that was back in 2008.
Well, I think the change is supposed to nothing to change. What do you say it has changed?
Have you been up there?
No, I have not.
I didn't want to bring that up tonight because I was.
Right here's our
looking
VDOT.
for it in documents.
Right here.
Oh, she sent it, she sent it.
It's there.
Is
Don't
it
worry.
on our stuff though? If you have it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it needs to, I could not find it in the documentation that was attached to the application. Now, yes, and that's something in the future then that we have to work on, and that, we need to be able to read that. So please do that. And it's the same thing with a copy of the property card from the Commissioner of Revenue. There's, and the Risings,
You may reach out to the applicant and let them know what's missing then,
we may?
Yeah.
Uh,
or your secretary.
Okay, that's fine, we can do that.
So,
And one other question I had, and I don't know exactly how that works in here, is there was talk at the planning commission about auxiliary parking or whatever, but on the site plan that we have, there's no indication of that, that's on a separate piece of property. I mean, because they've got several different lots in there, you're aware of that. But I think, as far as approving an application, part of that is we're approving, there has to be, physical evidence of what we are approving. And so you don't come back and go, oh yeah, well, we changed that, or, we need to be able to look at the application and go, okay, there's auxiliary parking, and it's going to be here.
You're right, the VDOT permits it.
What?
The VDOT permits it.
That's what I read. That's the information we have, so we don't have all the information, and, I don't know how the board feels about that.
well,
I mean, we can table it until we have all that information and then schedule for a public hearing.
or could we schedule it for a public hearing and notify them that this is gonna be required for the public hearing to go occur?
Ms. Ups, did you get it? The VDOT, I thought I
She's
saw
got most
it.
of that.
We do have it. I have it.
We just didn't get it passed on.
Oh, it's not in this packet, I think it was in the planning commission.
Okay.
That's the same, as far as I'm concerned, it's the same information that transfers over from one to the other, it just wasn't there, or what I saw was exactly what you're reading, it says that it's pending. Same thing with the health department, and I understand there's really no health department concerns, but even then, if a request was made to the health department and they had no concerns, that should be part of the record, that the health department, because of the nature of the request, has no concerns, but that all ends up being part of the packet that we approved for the application. So, those are my feelings, and I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but, it's the fact that we gotta treat everybody the same way. And they don't, some people feel like they can just fill out certain lines or whatever.
I'm sorry, is there anybody here that's actually representing the
No.
applicant?
No, because we're just
No,
reviewing,
because
reviewing whether the application's in order.
Because they got plenty of time to, we can, depending on what action we choose to take, we can contact them and say, you need to provide us with this in order to move ahead. But my feeling is to schedule a public hearing, and then when it comes to the public hearing, and the information that's required still has not been presented, that creates a problem. Because at that point in time, we've done this before, is that you open the public hearing, and then you recess it, and then you wait for the information, and you reopen it again. But we've run into that before. That's what I'm trying to avoid, is that let's make sure we have everything that's required, and so that we know when we go into the public hearing that all the information's there, and the public also has access to all that information, because right now, they don't. If we don't have access to it, looking on board docs, then the public doesn't.
How long before the meeting does that appear on the board docs? What would be, say if we said to them, we can schedule it for next month, but you have to have this information in so we can have it on board docs in time for the meeting.
As far as I'm concerned, it should be on board docs right now.
Right.
Because it's required under the requirements of the application. Like I said, a copy of the deed is required, it says right here on the application, that's required. A copy of and this is new, a copy of the property card for the property from the Commissioner of Revenue is required. But it's not, in transparency wise or whatever, it's gotta be on board docs. It can't just be, you know, the zoning administrator.
And
Can't
that's why I
have
was
it.
wondering, how long before a meeting is it supposed to be on board docs? It must be some kind of a time frame that's required.
That's a good question. I don't have an answer to, but, like I said, normally when the application goes forward,
He is.
all this, I mean, quite honestly, according to what it says here,
What I'm wondering is, since this has already been through the board of supervisors, maybe just this was.
no,
Planning-
planning commission.
Oh, planning commission, excuse me, the planning commission, maybe this just exists but didn't get passed on or something?
No.
They never had it then either, okay.
I don't believe so. And
Well,
it
we
says
have
right
the
here.
VDOT, we have the VDOT application right here, on site, now, right?
Mhm.
Okay,
We
so
never-
you
we
have,
took that one off because we could look at it and say we've seen it.
well, yeah,
Of course, we could drop
Yes.
a copy of it in there, but that's just pro forma,
Right.
we have it.
but I mean, my question would be that this all is supposed to be provided before it goes to the planning commission.
Right.
And so when it gets to us, we shouldn't be asking for this information. And it's just, you know, it's a communication problem or whatever, but, you know, if it's brought forward, then attach it to the application so everybody can see it.
So we need a motion on that?
If someone wants to make a motion in regards to whether we move this forward to a public hearing or not, I will
Do
leave
you
that up to the
actually have
board.
a copy of the VDOT?
It's in the file.
But where?
She's got it.
It's in my file, my hard file.
There you go.
I have the actual file, yeah,
And they had no concerns?
correct.
Can I just look at that here real quick?
Which-
I don't have a copy of this.
Oh, you mean, that,
But you have a
Yeah,
copy
just
of the
this.
deed?
Okay.
I think I do.
or the document from the Commissioner Roden.
I have a copy of the deed, I have their property card, and I have their VDOT.
All right, so in fact, it's complete.
Mhm.
So basically, the only thing that we haven't actually got in the room here is photographs, right? You have photographs?
I do not have photographs.
That's the only thing that.
Right, okay.
So you want to,
And I will say photographs are not required in our code. We simply ask for them on the
What
application.
does it say?
We ask for them, Ron. They're not required by, The code.
This is, please be so kind as to, but it's not
Wait a minute.
required statement.
But then it says right here, failure to provide this information may cause a delay in your
May.
application being taken up by the planning commission.
it's in May, not shall.
All right, so
Thank you.
So really, the only thing that substantive that we're missing is a couple of photographs and a description of the auxiliary parking?
I would like to see a
We don't
better
have-
map that would become part of the record that indicates.
On the maps, are ridiculously extensive.
See, what I would do is just say that there shouldn't be any auxiliary parking. That
Well,
the only parking that you.
That's something that we can't decide tonight, but that's what they are proposing, so I think.
And they
it should be
pointed it
part
out on
of
the
their-
survey, on the
What?
survey at the planning commission meeting, they pointed out on that survey where they proposed for the auxiliary parking.
Well, I don't see, but I was at the meeting, they pointed it a lot, but it's not on the, it's not documented.
No,
It was verbally documented that we're
Correct.
going to use this.
so you can
model
finalize
here.
that at yours.
What?
So then you can finalize it at the BZA's public hearing.
Okay, but, yes, we can, that's why we're doing what we're doing, and then I would like to say right now that we're, the the applicant needs to be advised that we want a, you know, a better site plan that indicates the auxiliary parking area and, I mean, even the parking on the existing thing, there's nothing up there that says anything about parking. He referenced that we're gonna park people over here or whatever, but it wasn't, it's not written down on the site plan, and that this is gonna be the parking area. Because he specifically said it measures such and so, and that we can put, 60 cars in there, but that needs, you know, that needs to be on the site plan, so that, we know what we're voting on.
Now, I have a question, the sites that we're referencing on this plan are the ones indicated in red, I'm assuming, I have this in, is this true?
Oh, I guess,
I'm assuming one is the site and one's the other.
you know,
That's right.
it's,
I think this is. the
it's
site.
not, that's where this is very, it doesn't, I mean, there are red marks, but there's nothing that indicates what the red marks are, and then we need a site plan that indicates exactly how they plan on utilizing all of the property that they have there, because I think it's down here, isn't
Right,
it,
that's right.
or someplace, so it's actually separated.
Yeah, in fact, it's sold.
Yeah, it's all